I also cried a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Crying is good.
Terrible if you laughed at the bit that I cried at.
Oh, you can tell me when the cameras are off.
One of us would be a psychopath.
Amigos de películas, soy Gaby Cam y estamos en la premiere de Calabozos y Dragones Honor Entre Ladrones, porque el elenco visitó la Ciudad de México y obviamente de películas Cinemex y estuvo ahí conversando con todos ellos, así que no se despeguen de este especial.
Of thieves. And when you do this, you're bound to make enemies. Sometimes those enemies come looking for revenge.
So thank you for having me. And you know, I feel like Dungeons and Dragons is all about imagination, so I wanted to know how did this film and making this film put that to the test for you, your imagination?
Well, I mean, you know, some of this film is CG and all that, but then also a lot of the film is practical effects and practical puppetry work, which I haven't heard of. It's like almost like a Jim Henson part of it. There was there's a scene where I have to talk to these re-enlivened skeletons, which were all fabricated and made and operated by this incredible team called Legacy, rather. So it was a lot of fun to do and a lot of practical help to be able to play pretend when you can like look at real things. And I think hopefully for an audience that's been so inured to watching computer graphics so much, it'll be nice to see like real things on screen.
Yeah. I don't think I used my imagination at all in this. I was just tried to be... Well, I suppose the imagination is... building... I always think my role is not big enough. So I create in my head and on paper whole new scenes and episodes of their lives. And
so sad.
It is a little sad.
It is cool as well. I feel. No? Sad? Just sad?
Just sad.
Okay.
So much time on his hands.
Maybe you can one day do spin-offs of all of these stories you created. No? No, Chris? No?
There's a lot of talk of Forge spin-off, yeah.
I'm not really used to doing a lot of CGI stuff, so you know, running away from the dragon and everything, but it's actually a tennis ball and stuff like that, so it gets a little... I wasn't used to that, and I had to use my imagination for that, but honestly, it wasn't super hard because we got Legacy, who is... What are they exactly?
Well, they're like the practical effects
effects people, who just built these amazing, amazing like
prosthetics, like dragonborns and Aarakocras and stuff.
And
so it was real.
You're working with these, with this different. You know, you don't have to imagine them as a dragon. You can actually just see this dragon in front of you, or dragonborn, or tabaxi.
Yeah.
So it makes it so much easier, and so in that way, I guess I didn't have to use my imagination too much.
Truth be told, we helped the wrong person steal the wrong thing. We didn't mean to unleash the greatest evil the world has ever known. But we're gonna fix it.
So how do we pull that off? Figure it out over a drink?
Probably best.
There's a thing in the game called the rule of cool, which we subscribe to, which is that if it's fun and it's going to make your game more fun, you can do it. And that's what we approach the movie with, that attitude. You know, we try to be true. We're very true to the lore in many ways, but we took certain liberties.
I think the main concern was getting the tone right. You know, the movie has a very unique tone. It's different than most fantasy films. I think most fantasy movies are pretty dark and kind of dour and kind of serious. And this movie has this like light, like fun, like joy of life kind of vibe to it. And I think it was important to get the tone right and have it not be too silly or too goofy, but always real, but still be fun. And I think that it was it came down to casting, like getting the right actors to play these parts, and getting the screenplay just right. But I think all told, I think we captured the tone right.
It was the hardest part, was that tonal, you know, walking that tightrope. Because if we go too far with the humor, it starts to hurt the stakes. People start to check out a little bit. And so there was a lot of debate. Every joke we were like, is it okay to have this joke, or is it hurting the intensity of the moment? One example of that is Zank walking over the rock on the beach. I mean, we always knew that that was going to be a big laugh. some of the people at the studio were questioning, is that too silly? Is it too broad? Is it hurting, you know, whatever? And we fought for it. We put it in, and I'm so glad we did, because I think the Marvel movies, if they taught us anything, it's that it's okay to have laughs amidst the adventure. It doesn't take away from your investment in a movie.
What is it exactly that you bring to this?
I'm a planner. I make plans.
You've already made the plan, so...
If the existing plan fails, I make a new plan.
So you make plans that fail?
No.
He also plays the lute.
Not relevant.
What do you think is what makes these heroes and villains as well stand out in a world where all we get mostly is superheroes?
Well, you know, there's a lot of talk about our characters being, you know, not kind of losers and all that. I think it's not a new thing. I mean, it's all, if characters didn't have any flaws, there'd be no dramatic arc to any story. So I think even if you're a superhero, there's always a flaw happening. I think at least hopefully what's nice about it is that they're really not doing well. And I think sometimes for people watching a film, it's aspirational. So they're like, oh my God, I really want to be these people. And that's one version of watching a film. And another version of watching a film is, oh, I see myself in these people a lot. So I think that's the latter version is hopefully the kind of film that we've made.
Well, I think there are some brave choices here. I mean, you know, Chris's character has no superpower at all. I think in a lot of films of this type, maybe even if he wasn't able to fight at this moment, it would come back halfway through the film and he would be able to beat people up. But no, he starts as a hopeless lute player and he ends up as a hopeless lute player. And I think that's absolutely charming. And you know, another huge cliche that's avoided is there's absolutely no romance between him and Michelle Rodriguez's character. They're just really good friends, and it's all the more touching for it. I was watching the film at the London premiere the other day, and I'm about to spoil the whole film.
No.
Anyway, I cried.
Sophia, I have to tell you this. When I was watching the film, I was so surprised because obviously there are some scenes where you're not in the screen, but somehow it is you.
Yeah.
But then you come back on screen and it feels like it was you all along. What was like the key to achieve that, to get that mindset? Okay, I was just a bear and now I'm this person.
Right.
Again.
I don't know about the mindset. I do think I think they did a really good job. I think it had to say with the writing and the editing actually did the most work because it flowed in a way which was very nice, because it's like you get to see Doric in the beginning, Doric in the middle, and Doric at the end, instead of just seeing like Doric's here and then here's the animal and it stays an animal for at least good solid 6 minutes and then she's back, and then it's just, then that feels kind of like a, but the pacing was amazing. Like you get to see bits and pieces where you kind of remind the audience that it's her the whole time. It's still Doric. And you can get to see this transition, which made it easier for me too to kind of plan out what's happening in that moment, and what you know, maybe she has like an emotional change between like the beginning of the sequence and then the middle of the sequence. There's probably something that happened, and then she gets to like something happens while she's back into a human, and it goes. So I think the writing made that made the pacing really nice, and just the editing as well. Yeah, I wish I could take all the credit, but yeah, no, I think they did a really good job with that.
We also need courage, magic, and you. What is that again? It's an owl bear.
Well, obviously playing this game, it's all about teaming up and what everyone brings to the table. And I've just asked this question to everyone, so I need to ask you. What would you say is what you bring to this campaign as people? You know, like as Hugh and as Chris, what did you bring to this campaign called Dungeons and Dragons, the film?
I originally, as far as I recall, my character was written a bit more, how do you describe it? Like, more reluctant, kind of like edgy and more maybe like Han Solo-y. But when I read the script, I kind of saw this guy as this Labrador retriever who was very like happy and joyful and buoyant. And so I really enjoyed playing that. I feel like I hadn't seen that kind of character, this guy that was refused to be gotten down by the circumstances that they saw themselves in. So, yeah.
I suppose I just bring insincerity. I specialize in that.
Okay. Okay. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a planner. I'm good at planning. And so in that way, I always tried to channel my my Edgin Chris Pine Bard and try to like be planning the whole thing and pivoting as we planned. And, you know, it just kept not going well. And I tried to be enthusiastic and try to keep it all going somehow.
What happens?
I don't know. It's just hard. It was like, you know, the studio was complicated at times. And it's hard to make a movie this big. But, you know, my job is mostly to keep everyone enthusiastic and try to be a positive force. I'm usually positive, right?
Yeah. Oh, very, very positive. No, yeah, you did a good job with that. What did I bring? I don't know. I brought Dork.
You brought Dork.
I brought Dork.
You brought Dork.
I did Dork.
That was exactly what you were supposed to bring.
Perseverance, honestly. It was the hardest thing that we ever did, making this movie. It was exhausting, and every day was a challenge, but we kept our eyes on the end, which is releasing it and showing it to the public. And so we aged a lot in the 3 years we made it, but it was worth it.
If it makes you feel better, some people age like me, just being in an office, not
just
doing
sitting
fun
around,
stuff, just sitting around, just being there.
This one's dangerous. But whatever happens, we'll be ready.